Simple truth about today, September the 10th, 2025, is I don't care where you lean politically. I don't care who you vote for. I don't care your stance on any political issue. The reason I don't care about any stance that you have on a political issue is because it is not my passion. I have my own thoughts, ideas, concerns about what I believe is best for my family. The two small children that I have, the wife that I have, and the life that we're trying to build for those two. I feel like it is my job and my goal and my duty and my calling to give the two young lives that I have helped bring into this world, to give them a better life than I had. And I had a great life. And I've had a great life. A lot of you have given me the life that I dream about and coming out here and talking about sports every day. But the God's honest truth, the 1,000% truth in all of this is simple. As Americans, as people, white, black, Catholic, atheist, no Muslim, doesn't matter your denomination, doesn't matter your religion, doesn't matter your race. Senseless acts of violence have got to stop. I don't know the solutions. I don't know if I'm smart enough to give solutions that would best help our country move forward in this world to move forward. I know of one solution that will work, but some of you don't want to have that conversation. The good book that sits right here, not too far from me, is the solution into all of this. The acts of violence, the senseless acts of violence have got to stop. They have got to stop. That person that might seem a little bit awkward that you don't talk to, go up to them and tell them good morning, because you don't know what they're going through. Here is a truth. Every single one of you that are listening to me right now or will ever listen to me in the future, you and your family has gone through something that the general public doesn't know about. And you know that I am telling the truth. It's always great to have a random person hold the door for you. Be kind to one another, because you just do not know what those people are going through. And listen, we're not perfect. We all will make mistakes. My mistakes are very public, right? Especially when it comes to sports. My wins are also very public. So I may not know you, but you probably know me better than I know many of you. But the truth of the matter is this. I am sick and tired of all of this, whether it be at schools, whether it be at churches, whether it be at synagogues, whether it be a mosque, wherever it is. I am sick of it. I have never once on this show shared who and the things that I have done before starting this podcast, and I don't think today's the day to do that. But the bottom line for me is this, and it's simple. I have been in situations where I put God, country, family in the top 3 of my categories of what I hold dearest to me. We don't have to agree. It's what makes our country our country. Today, Charlie Kirk was assassinated, and you're trying to get away from it, and I get it. And in about 3 seconds, we're going to be done with it. I pray for his wife. I pray for his children. I pray for his friends. I pray for our country. Because whether you're on a bus or a subway station and a random act of violence occurs upon you, or whether you're having civil debate in a public forum with people, regardless of the situation, the violence that has come amongst two people this week are not deserved. They can say whatever they want to say about you. I don't have to agree with him. I don't have to agree with her. I don't have to agree with anybody. Neither do you. Violence isn't the answer. Now, most of you, I would assume, are or believe in a higher being. And regardless of what you think about all of it, what would your higher being say to the acts of violence that continue to occur? Would your higher power agree? Mine wouldn't. Literally. I pray for my family, man. I pray for this country. There are days like today where I ask myself the God's honest question, what have I brought these two young children in here? Like, what are they seeing? How do I protect them? I pray for all of you, and I pray for our country. I love this country with all my heart. Would sacrifice myself for the greater good of what makes this country the best. I would. That's the belief that I have. Today's acts are absolutely gross. Some of the reporting, which maybe I shouldn't have gone political. Some of it is absolutely insane. None of this should be taking place. I pray for our country, man. That's all I can say. I pray for your children, and I pray for mine. It's a sad day. Let's get into it here. We got lots to discuss. David Waters joins us at 7:35. We'll talk to him about Florida as he covers the Florida Gators for Gators Breakdown. We'll break the game down with him. We'll go behind enemy lines as we've done every single year the last 6 years with our good buddy David Waters over at Gators Breakdown. It's Wednesday. I was about to say it's Thursday. I was like, no, it's not Keys to Victory. It's Wednesday. Do's and don'ts. Things that LSU, I think, have got to 1,000% do to beat Florida this upcoming Saturday. There are some things that LSU has got to avoid or they're going to get their first L of the season. Some interesting things when you go back and watch South Florida that I think play into LSU's hands here offensively. We'll get to that tonight as well here. Before we get rolling, everybody do us a favor, though. Hit the like and share to all those groups if you're on Facebook and to all those social media pages. You're watching us, listening to us on YouTube. Like, subscribe, notification bell, wherever you listen to podcasts. Rate, review, and subscribe. Ricky Richardson became a member on the YouTube channel. Thank you so much, sir. I tell you, we're getting closer every day. One every day. We're going to start posting some members-only content here in the next couple of weeks. Maybe getting a little bit more in depth on some recruiting and things like that. But thank you so much for becoming a member on the YouTube channel. Jay Smacks with a $10 super chat says, hey, Blake, to say I'm upset is an understatement. I did a TikTok live today to simply spread awareness of the subject. The amount of people who were praising this would shock you. Glad I have a CCW. I'm not. First off, I don't even want to go down that route, Jay Smacks, because it opens up. We're a sports podcast. It opens up a whole nother door to a lot of other things. I think it's sadistic for you to praise acts of violence in this kind of situation. It's abhorrent. It's abhorrent. This guy's words affected you so much that you have to do something like this. I'm not with it. I'm just not with it. Let them say whatever they want to say. You want to see some people get ripped? Why don't you go into our YouTube channel and go to Rufino and Joe, for crying out loud? Guys, none of their words matter. Nobody's words really matter. What is it going to do to you? It doesn't matter. It's just sad, man. Very, very, very sad. Tommy is in the 315 in East Syracuse, New York. Gotta love it, man. You gotta love it. Love it where everybody listens from tonight. Aaron Miller says Proverbs 13:22. It's a great verse to be able to put up here. Gotta love it. Gotta love it. Fat Guys Run says checking in from the 901 Memphis, Tennessee in the building. RIP Charlie Kirk. So angry. Yeah, I feel like that's going to be where a lot of people are. It's going to be where a lot of people are. I'm with you, man. I'm with you. And listen, This is not a political show. I'm not diving into it. I said my piece, and I'm going to say my piece. I don't get it. I pray for my family every day, and I pray for my children. What have we gotten them into? I just God give me the strength to protect them. All right, let's get rolling here. Everybody do us a favor, hit that like and share. As we mentioned, every episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. LSU down from 9.5 to 7.5 point favorites over the Gators. Do you want to sprinkle a little money line on it? You can go over to FanDuel and do that. Sign up today if you have the discretionary income. If you don't have the discretionary income, then don't go over there. Let's go have some fun. All of this is about fun. Do not make a living and do not go over there and start betting if you don't have money to be gambling in the first place. But if you want to go have fun with us, come over to FanDuel.com today. Download their mobile app. We'll have you some cash and some sign-up bonuses in a couple of months here as we work through some things. But regardless of that, we're glad to be sponsored by our good friends over at FanDuel, where they let the action happen. If you have a problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or go over to FanDuel.com/RG for more details. Let me get to a quick break. When we come back, do's and don'ts for what I think LSU's got to do against Florida. Oh, by the way, Braelin Moore back? He going to start at center? BK thinks so. We'll talk about that next. Stay with us.
He will sell your house and find you a new. Well, Tyler's the man. He's here for you. If you want to buy or sell, well, it's not too late. Dial 955-0008. Just call 955-0008. Y'all call Tyler. He'll shoot you straight.
Hey, guys, I want to tell you about our good friends over at Red Stick Financial. They're your local residential mortgage broker located right here in the heart of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. At Red Stick Financial, they find the bank that works for your particular set of needs to purchase the home of your dreams or refinance the current one. They truly are your partners in this process, and they pride themselves in helping individuals and families with one simple goal in mind, and that is to make home financing approachable, attainable, and stress-free. They are licensed in all Louisiana, Texas, and Mississippi. So from Amarillo to Meridian and everything in between, they have you covered. Red Stick Financial brings you creative, customized solutions, and they don't believe in the one-size-fits-all when it comes to loans. They even have special options for mobile and manufactured homes located in a flood zone and stated income financing for those of us who are self-employed borrowers. If you or someone you know is looking to buy a home, refinance an existing mortgage, or simply want to know what options are out there for your future, give Red Stick Financial a call today at 225-407-9250. That's 225-407-9250. Or check them out online at redstickfinancial.com. That's redstickfinancial.com. Before you purchase the home of your dreams or you go and do that refinance, you need to go local. Go Red Stick. We're back. By the way, I've made some statements today about Charlie Kirk. If you're going to go in there and try to debate and engagement for him, I'm not doing it with you. I'm not the person. I'm not the person. If you think someone should die over this, as I've been seeing some of these comments that we got to get out of here, this is not the show for you. If you want to have the debate, go somewhere else. But I'm just not the fucking person to do it to. All right. Let's get to it here. LSU. Brian Kelly was on the SEC teleconference today, and he was asked a question about center Braelin Moore. Some big news coming out of Baton Rouge, as maybe he has avoided what we thought may have been the inevitable when we saw Braelin Moore, the center, go down on the first play against Louisiana Tech. Brian Kelly stated today that he practiced yesterday. From what I heard, I thought, I don't know if he went in full team periods, but in individual stuff, he was there, looked good, moved good, just making sure that he kind of gets back to some health here. I did hear that DJ Chester, for what it's worth, did take a lot of snaps at center too. Guys, you got to be ready just in case. So don't let that panic you. But Brian Kelly said, or today, that he would list, let me back up. I saw a lot of people say that he stated that he would list him as probable. That's not what he said. He said, I do not know what we are going to list him at as of right now, but we do think that we're going to list him as probable as things move forward. So we'll talk about that injury news. There is some big injury news that's just breaking from Matt Zenitz over at 247 Sports. As Caleb Banks, the interior of our defensive lineman for Florida, is going to be set to go this week. So now you have a situation where arguably one of, if not the best interior defensive lineman in the country in Caleb Banks, and Braelin Moore, it seems as if that both teams are going to have guys that they need in the interior of their offense and defensive lines. In reference to Braelin Moore, guys, it's just so massive to get him back. I don't know if the position or guys behind him are ready to go and be an impact for that position after what we saw last season, after what we saw last week versus Louisiana Tech. I thought Braelin Moore did so many things to take off of Garrett Nussmeier's plate. One thing that I don't think is a massive strength for Garrett is setting protections correctly and early in the process. I think that's why you've seen some delay of games. I think that's why you've seen some late timeouts. I thought against Clemson, and just based off of just complete opinion, I don't know the calls on the field. Guys, I'm not on the field, nor do I know the calls. But based off of what I've seen from Braelin Moore and being in that position from center, I think he's taken such a massive thing off of Garrett Nussmeier's plate to calling those protections, and he was really good against Clemson, especially in that interior defensive line, with guys like Peter Woods that helped spring you to more rushing yards than I thought that maybe that you were going to have against Clemson. You know, I think about a basketball analogy when I think about Braelin Moore as an example. Let me explain. You know, there's always this argument in basketball about, well, if you take LeBron James off the team, what is his team? If you take Steph Curry off of his team, what is his team? They talk about value in basketball more than anything. And Braelin Moore is not going to win the Heisman Trophy. Braelin Moore's not, going to be this. Well, maybe he will be. I was going to say right now, we don't know if he's going to be an All-American. He's not at that status of where you'd say, oh, man, that's a Heisman Trophy contender. It's not as if every week, if he were to have been injured and that would have prolonged, that everybody talks about it being some massive significance, even though it is. Could Braelin Moore be one of the biggest MVPs on your team right now? Most valuable players right now? The reason I bring it up as an analogy, and I don't know if he is because of how bad you've been at that position. To have a moderately damn good center is a big addition and a big deal. What is he if you take him off that team? Now, we kind of already knew. I talked to David Waters earlier in the week and asked him about Caleb Banks. David's going to be joining us in just a minute. But the thing is, he kind of told me that he was pretty sure that Caleb Banks was going to go. But just to confirm, Matt Zenitz of 247 Sports says he is going to be a go this week. Well, guys, there you go. Caleb Banks destroyed your interior offensive line a season ago. You need Braelin Moore's consistency, experience, and you need him to be that anchor in the middle because, quite frankly, I think you're going up against a really, really good interior defensive line when it comes to Florida. Hopefully he's probable. Hopefully he's still able to go, and hopeful BK was right in his assessment that he's going to be able to go and be probable for this game because you desperately need him. All right, let's get to this. It won't be as long maybe as I would have intended, so maybe we'll have to get to some of this tomorrow as well because David's going to be joining us in just a moment. Maybe we'll kind of recap, maybe do some of the things I want to see you do versus things I don't want to see you do, and we'll get to it at the end. There are some things, though, that I need to see LSU do going into the game versus Florida this week. Something that's been very interesting to me in watching the South Florida game this week, when South Florida started having success in their comeback, I was really interested to see just how many times that they had successful plays in the screen game. And then I kind of was aware of it, but then I go back today and I look at it. Guys, did you know that every big play in critical situations, if Brown, their quarterback, wasn't running, they're hitting screen plays, they're hitting bubble screens, they're hitting screens to the running back, they're hitting screens over the middle to get first downs. Well, guys, that's been a pretty big crux of what you've done offensively. You've tried to run them multiple times. You did it a lot against Clemson. And I wonder if LSU tries to enact that here. The thing about a defense like Florida, and the thing about a defense that likes to put so much pressure on you, especially from their front four, and be as aggressive as they have been. Guys, those screens can be very beneficial to, number one, tire them out, and number two, get them to start over pursuing here in critical situations. Guys, 5 times in the game last week with South Florida versus Florida, the screen game was enacted by South Florida, and it to a high level of success. Now, I want to make a caveat to that. The running backs and receivers made Florida DBs on the boundary miss on a couple of these situations, especially late in the game, to pick up these critical first downs, because their massive plays come off of draws and screens and quarterback run against Florida. Basically, let's wrap that up in the bow. It's not necessarily the screen game that I'm calling for, but you can utilize it as massive as we've seen the first 2 weeks, and even last season with Ron Roberts, a guy that's been a coach locally around here, their defensive coordinator. Their front seven wants to be ultra aggressive. They want to be as downhill as possible to stop the run, but sometimes it's to their detriment. I do wonder how active you can be there to get them running sideline to sideline. Do you hit Aaron Anderson over the middle on one of these screens, and can you break it? That is where you saw South Florida have their most success. I think you still got to do it because of how much pressure they're going to want to generate after Garrett Nussmeier. Interesting enough, Billy Napier was asked on the SEC teleconference today about that. He goes, look, we're going to have to get after Nussmeier. To win this game, we have to get him on the ground. Guys, Billy's grasping at straws for his job to some extent. That's going to be a big thing here. On the opposite side, I agree with Billy. Getting to the quarterback is a big deal, especially if you're LSU this week. Guys, DJ Lagway is a special talent. He's got a massive arm. I think he's got special abilities when it comes to eluding some pressure. I don't think he's a great runner, but he's really good at eluding some pressures. DJ Lagway, it's an oxymoron about what I'm going to say. He has a 75% completion percentage this season through 2 weeks. I don't think he's played good at all. At all. I feel like I've seen a team in an offense that has been very well conservative. And I wonder how conservative they're going to try to be against you. A lot of jet sweep motion that you're going to have to pay attention to. A lot of play action that you're going to have to pay attention to. Guys, every time he's under pressure, he's been making bad decisions. And what we've seen from DJ Lagway last season and even in 2 weeks in this season, that I'm really intrigued to see if it happens against you. When you get to him early, he starts feeling pressure when there isn't any. Let me explain. The interception that he threw, the broadcast says that he's rolling right. No, he's not. It's not a design roll right. You're never going to roll right and have a post route from your far boundary guy from the far right side and roll right. Why are you going to put the quarterback on the move and let the far boundary guy run a post? It's not what was happening here. He started seeing, I don't want to say he started seeing ghost. He started feeling pressure that wasn't there after the first 2 times in real passing situations. USF made him miss people out in space, and he had to go pick up some yardage. The third time he did it, every time that he thought in his mental clock that he had to get moving, guys, he's on the move. Doesn't want to get hurt, doesn't want to get hit. I'm really interested to see this week how Blake Baker, who's been exceptional at sending pressure, you're going to have to get home to DJ Lagway. I think if you get home to him very early, he will start feeling pressure that quite simply isn't there. I think that this is a massive Harold Perkins game in a lot of extents. It always kind of is a big Harold Perkins game like it was with Klubnik in week 1. But even Klubnik started feeling it, and that's why you got him to flush out of the pocket, and Perk was there to generate that pressure. He has not shown that consistently, even against you last year, which we lost, so it elevated the status of what he did. Even last year, guys, there was a lot of inconsistency. A lot. You get pressure after him, he's going to see things that aren't there. You got to confuse him. What I think teams have done, what Ole Miss did, what even in a loss, what South Florida did the best. They showed one thing before the snap and ran something else after it. Now, they look like a lot of times that they were in man. They weren't. They were in quarters, and they were running quarters, and they were tackling everything that was out in front of them. DJ didn't process it correctly. You do have a veteran offensive line there, and it's going to be critical on them this week to protect him because, again, I think generating pressure after him, again, seeing ghost isn't the good way to explain it. What I would say is that he just starts feeling a lot of pressure that isn't there, and I think it's very interesting. Another thing I got to see, a big dude that I must see from this LSU team this week is attacking the middle of the field offensively. Listen, I think that they're actually very physical in the boundary part of their at corner. Their corners tackle very well in space. The interesting thing that I saw even in the LIU game and the thing that I saw against South Florida that intrigues me to start attacking the middle part of the field, whether it be with tight ends, running backs, drag routes with Aaron Anderson, whatever it may be, middle screens, I don't care. They've missed a lot of tackles in space. They're really good in coverage. They've just missed a lot of tackles in space. Now, they've come down and made some big hits. But out in open space, I feel as if that their safeties have not been able to make the play. What is going to be very intriguing for me here in this game, how do you utilize Zavion Thomas? How do you utilize Aaron Anderson? You missed Aaron Anderson a lot last year on these drag routes. And I'm interested to see how they play you. What is interesting to me is that they got a lot of speed at linebacker. Guys, I got to be real with you. Even more than against Clemson. They have more speed on the field in their front seven than you've seen all season. They got some really good speed. The biggest lie that I think that's been told about Florida is with all of the chaos around Billy Napier, right? With all of the chaos that surrounds them offensively, guys, they're really good on defense. They got a lot of really talented players. But I don't know if their safeties can consistently make plays and tackles in the passing game. What is interesting there to me is when I look and see how teams have attacked them in the middle of the field is when they're out in open space, I felt like Golish in South Florida then started attacking them. Let me give you an example. Like they're doing it, they're calling an audible when a safety walks down on the line of scrimmage and running a zone read. They want the tackle, or they want the safety to make a tackle in open space and force them to make plays and then attack them over and over again. Two of their biggest plays, actually, their biggest plays are coming when the safety can't come up and make the play. I'm really interested to see how you attack the middle of the field, and I pray to God that Joe Sloan attacks the middle of the field. I thought your best play versus Clemson, your best play that set a lot of things up for you was when you went the play action fake toss to Caden Durham and did the drag route by Trey Green. You got everybody flowing one way, and you have Trey going the other. This defense in some misdirection here, especially if you get their safeties out in open space, you start making them tackle Caden Durham or Harlan Berry, Juwan Johnson, whoever, Zavion Thomas, a lot in the boundary over and over again. Guys, they're going to start over pursuing, and I do think that's why ultimately they got beat versus South Florida. Hold on one second, making sure that David's on the way. Just had to make sure our guest was here. I hope I sent him the link. I just looked down the time. It's 7:37. Nevertheless. Anyway, attack the middle of the field. One thing that I think is really interesting, the thing I want to see you do this week versus Florida, I think that they have some explosiveness at wide receiver. I'm interested to see if that wide receiver core can consistently make plays versus your DB room. What do I mean? I've seen the boundary for LSU defensively at corner. I don't know if LSU is not going to just try to man up with Eugene Wilson and Brown. They're speed guys. Even Mizell, if he's in there, however, starter Vant, whatever. What I'm interested to see is how quickly Billy tries to get the ball out to his boundary receivers, if he wants to even do that. Because, guys, I think you're going man-to-man the whole night unless they show that they can beat it. This Brown kid, the freshman, number 8, scares the living shit out of me. He scares the living shit out of me. Guys, Florida has elite speed at receiver. They got dudes that can flat out fly. When you go in man-to-man coverage, you might get busted to some big plays. I want to see you mix it up in the secondary a little. Show them one thing, give them something else. I thought Blake Baker was elite at that. Let me explain. Everybody said, oh, we ran man-to-man coverage all night. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Guys, go back and watch that second half. Clemson starts hitting stuff underneath over you, and then Mansour Delane is having to come down and tackle from 10 to 15 yards out. Why were they doing that? Because they were showing man-to-man coverage and trying to bait Klubnik to make the throw that he did to Mansour Delane on the Mansour Delane interception. Guys, Mansour Delane looks like he's playing bump and run. He overthrows him, and it gets picked. Why? Because they're in quarters. I say that to say I wonder if DJ is going to pick up on when they look like they're in bump and run man-to-man coverage, and you try to get the ball out to Brown, you try to get the ball out to Eugene Wilson, if you can bait him into what you did Cade Klubnik. Baker has done some masterclass stuff, so we'll see. All right, I was just told that the man's in the building. David Waters is in the building. Year 6 of this, I think. Every time David comes on here, I say, man, LSU scares me. And then LSU wins. And the first year, I'm like, oh, I think LSU can win this one. They lost. Dave, I feel shitty this week. All right, Gators Dave next. We'll see him. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority. Guys, I want to talk to you about our good friends over the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company. Are you facing tough times due to an injury from a car accident, navigating the complexities of divorce, or purchasing a new home? At the Drake Williams Law Firm and Drake Title Company, they understand the challenges you're going through, and they are here to help. The lawyer team of Ernie Drake III, Ryan J. Williams, and Summer Vignair, along with Morgan Daniels, have the experience and proven track record to give you that peace of mind. Give them a call today at 985-386-7600. That's 985-386-7600 to schedule a free consultation at their brand new office located in historic downtown Ponchatoula. They're also doing a special, the AYS special. If you're refinancing or closing on a home in Southeast Louisiana, request the Drake Title Company to handle your closing. If you mention Blake Ruffino and AYS, you're going to receive a $400 discount on title fees. Again, give them a call at 985-386-7600. Let them know that Blake Ruffino sent you on by. We're back. David Waters, a.k.a. Gator Dave. Good evening, good sir. How are you?
Good. Busy. You know how this podcast role is. What did I say was? had to do my own little recordings and stuff, and the SEC puts out the injury report, so I had to put out the quick tweet when you texted me. So I was on the way. I was on the way.
Well, after I sent you the text, and then I saw the news with Caleb Banks, which was actually my first question to you. Looks like Caleb Banks is going to be able to go. I mean, I'm assuming based off the injury report that Caleb Banks, the interior defensive lineman, is going to be able to go this week, Dave.
Yeah. There was no questionable players from Florida, only players that were out, and Caleb Banks was not on there. So maybe questionable, but from everything I can gather, it's leaning towards that he plays. So that was the biggest question, of course, for Florida heading into this game. Have not seen Caleb Banks versus LIU. Have not seen Caleb Banks versus USF. We know the type of game it was. The LSU game was kind of his coming out party last year. So you at least for the orange and blue side of things, hoping that's kind of a repeat for Florida's defense, which has played good. Florida's defense has not really been the reason. We're looking at a loss to USF. Didn't come up in the clutch situation, but now having Caleb Banks back should go a long way. A leader on defense, pair him there with Tyreek Sapp, and maybe gets this Florida Gator defensive line going a good bit.
So Caleb Banks, you're right. The LSU game was basically his coming out party, then absolutely demolishes Ole Miss. And then everybody, and Dave, I said this, I was like, look, I said this on Rufino and Joe, I don't know if he's not the best interior defensive lineman in the country. I don't know if you agree, disagree with that. But what do you think his status being there does elevate for a defense that you've seen through 2 weeks?
Yeah, it certainly gives Florida another body, which I think Florida does need. And behind him, it's still the kind of unproven, younger guys, and then we don't know the status of Brendan Bett either. The guy who spit in the face of the USF player. He was the guy who was filling in a good bit for Caleb Banks, and now, as I say, you get Caleb Banks back for a body. Well, maybe you're out of another body because we don't know the status of Brendan Bett right now. So you may be losing that depth piece as Florida ramps up for LSU. So, but Makai Burrow, Jamari Lyons, that's what you're looking at for your interior for Florida. And to get Jamari Lyons back, who they were really high on a year ago going into fall camp. He got hurt. He didn't play last year. And I like what I've seen from him from the first couple of games. And so hard to really know what we saw against LIU for game one. So really just one game here. But for Caleb Banks, it's just the disruption of the force, commands double teams. He's a really good pass rusher from the interior as well. And that's what, I mean, you guys know, but that's what stands out. You don't know what you're getting from a pass rushing aspect from an interior guy a whole lot. Right. If they're a space eater and can stop the run, great. If they're a pass rusher, it's a plus. And that's what you get from Caleb Banks. So that's what he brings to the table that I'm not sure Florida has proven they can get from anybody else at that spot.
What I know I'm focusing so much on the injury report, but I mean, it is obviously a big key to the game here. LJ McCray's also out.
Broke his foot. Broke his foot. He played for the first time last week, broke his foot. So he'll be out for quite some time.
Through one game, I don't even know how to ask you this. What is the significance of him not going?
They love Jaden Woods, a true freshman, at the spot as well. So it's been George Gums, LJ McCray. They moved LJ McCray out to that outside linebacker F spot.
Typical Ron Roberts.
Yep. Yeah, there you go. And then true freshman Jaden Woods. Really, I mean, from the time he stepped on campus, and we heard it in spring, we heard it in fall. So there's a lot of confidence in him too. But at this spot, there's one reason Jack Pyburn is at LSU. Mm-hmm. They love what they got from George Gums last year. And it kind of started in that same stretch, that late 4-game stretch starting with LSU last year. George Gums starts coming along. Well, Jack Pyburn was playing well too. TJ Searcy was playing well too. Florida had 3 guys there that all wanted starter-like money. Well, you're not paying all 3 of them in today's college football world. So Florida chose to go George Gums route, and Jack Pyburn goes to LSU. TJ Searcy goes to Texas A&M. Florida got to play both those guys this year. Right. So if George Gums is playing up to his level and Jaden Woods can come along, I think Florida feels pretty good, because LJ McCray missed a good bit of time in fall camp too. He got hurt in fall camp, so he missed a good bit of time there too. So they were able to kind of adjust and go with the flow of the players that they do have at the spot.
Right, already been there, done that, so we kind of know what to expect.
Yeah.
I think it's right to a big deal there. So I texted you earlier today. It wasn't about coming on to the show. It was because that you were on the SEC telecast with Billy Napier. I just got to ask you because it was so intriguing. I mean, he's cutting you off. I mean, you're just basically you're asking him in the conversation. And I texted you this. I'm like, dude, you're just asking how do you respond basically after last week. And I'm just like, okay, well, give the fluff answer. How do you respond? And he's cutting you off and he's saying what he's saying. And I'm listening to you and Will's show from the other day today. And I'm like, okay, well, Dave's just asking basic questions. Is this the most pressure you've kind of felt? Is this his most snarky, I guess I could ask, that he's been? I mean, because I don't cover the beat every day, but I'm on the telecast listening to him because we play him this week. And I'm like, damn, Dave just asked the man a question. That's all he asked. He was being snarky. I'm not trying to put you in a bad spot. I'm just asking, how did you react to Coach? How do you respond?
Yeah, it was a question of, you're 1-1 for the fourth season in a row. And for this year, you're 1-1 before you got the first loss before you really thought. I mean, most people, okay, Florida's first loss is going to come at LSU. It's going to come at Miami. It's going to come at Texas. Not against USF. So the question, the way I phrased the question was, hey, you're 1-1. You got your first loss before you really thought you'd have it. Are there things you have to go back to the drawing board for, or do you stick with the process? Well, I couldn't even really get it out before he wanted, before he wants to get it out. And look, his message is fine. Hey, we believe in our process. We're not really going to throw away everything that we've done. We believe we have a good process here. Well, your process has got you 20-20 right now at your time at Florida. So that was the fight back from fans. Oh, you're right there. Okay, that's your answer. Well, what you've built is a 20-20 program so far. But I think it does beg the question, to me, it has to be surprising for this staff to see what happened last Saturday night in the Swamp and you lose to USF. So it was, are there things that, because DJ Lagway's playing hurt, are you surprised about how far along he's not there? So are there things that you have to go back to the drawing board and adjust your game plan? Or do you stick with what you spent all spring and fall camp for? It was a legit question. I really want to know. I don't know how deep he'd go into it, but there have to be aspects you cannot be happy with in this first couple of weeks of the season. Would you start over anywhere, or would you adjust something? But we didn't really get there.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, he just said we got to stick with our process. And again, I'm not on the beat every day, so I don't hear everything that he says. And I'm just
on that, Blake, I had Gator media members texting me. It was like, whoa, basically of how he responded to it. So you weren't the only one.
You did this twice. You did it to Mullen, and now you're doing it to Napier. What are you doing?
And neither one was the Mullen one was me putting the ball on a tee and say, all right, sell your program to recruits. Little did I know it goes in completely the opposite direction.
A complete opposite.
Yeah. So,
well, yeah. I'm just going to let you know, regardless, if it plays out how everybody anticipates or wants to anticipate as of their talk this week, you are going to be the biggest Florida legend of all time to some people. I'm just telling you. I mean, it's just going to be the David Waters thing.
I really don't want that label, but okay.
Once everybody sees you coming, you better answer this question right. Don't cut him off. I'm just playing with you. But at the same time, I just felt as if they was like, okay, it leads me into his mindset. Okay, he's coming into Baton Rouge to throw haymakers. He ain't coming in here to jab. That's how I felt, how he responded to your question about some of the pressure. Did I read that wrong? Do you think that they're trying to come into Baton Rouge, throw some haymakers?
Oh, for sure. And they got to. My argument with that is, why does it take what we saw last week to get to that mindset?
Fair.
You've done nothing up to this point. Yeah, you won 4 games to end last year. Or 5 games, you count the bowl game. Great. Fine, good. But, okay, this actual team has done nothing.
Right.
And you should have been tired of getting your teeth kicked in the last few years. Why does it take a loss to USF to say, okay, now we're ready to go play LSU? Or that was a wake-up call. No, your wake-up call should have been Miami last year, Texas A&M last year. Remember how that felt and not want to feel that way again. It shouldn't take away. You shouldn't beat USF going into the swamp and say, all right, well, we got to rally the troops. We got to figure out, we got back against the wall mentality. To me, that falls on deaf ears. It might be the case. And I know when you're in front of a microphone, that's the kind of thing you have to say. But, for me, that falls on deaf ears. If Florida goes and wins Saturday, I don't think it's, that was a wake-up call. We found it. No, for me, sometimes I expect Florida to go there and play well Saturday. Some of it is, am I really going to dismiss what I thought about this team 2 weeks ago? Can it be just a bad night? I hope so. But the thing is, it was the pattern, Blake, of what we saw and how the loss happened. It was the same penalty mistakes. It was the same questionable play calling. It was players not executing in critical moments of a game and stupid penalties, spitting in somebody's face in a critical moment of a game. So that's where, so I hope he feels the pressure, because those same questions that we've asked year after year are the same ones he's getting asked again. So, yeah, I hope you do feel the pressure. But you should have felt the pressure going into USF. You haven't done anything yet.
And, Dave, I felt like okay, you come out publicly and you say, hey, we're keeping Billy Napier for the 2025 season. So basically squashing this whole thing and rumor of buyout money and all that. Then you rattle off 5 straight after Texas. Then you come into this season and I still think you dominated LIU. I mean, I know that there were some complaints offensively, but you still dominated them. Okay. And then you go into that game and like, bro, I know I remember talking to it with my co-host Joe, and I'm like, all right, they haven't lost since they said that.
Yeah.
They ain't lost. So, okay, that was the rallying point, and then you lose. So to get into what you've seen so far this year, what do you think when you look at from an LSU side, how would you attack this Florida team after what you've seen over the last 2 weeks, though?
Bring it up front on defense. I know you guys are more attacking aggressive than what we've seen, and have had some confidence in that.
Dear Lord.
Yeah, and have some confidence in that. But this 4 or 5 starters all returning for Florida's offensive line, it hasn't paid off yet. We've heard sound. We've heard the players talking. We've seen it. Can't communicate. You're at home against LIU, against USF, and you're having problems communicating at home. And there's 4 or 5 guys that were playing a lot of football for you last year. I'm supposed to believe you're going to figure out your communication issues Saturday night in Death Valley? No,
I don't. Right.
Yeah, so, but yeah, maybe there is something to a silent count. Maybe there is something to less think about. And okay, well, you go straight with a game plan. You don't overthink it. You don't, try to be pretty. We know what's on the road. We know it's going to be tough. So maybe it changes your approach to how the communication goes and all that. But we know it's going to be there. When you're on the road in the SEC, that aspect of offensive line play has got to be there. They had trouble pass blocking game 1 versus LIU. Got better in that regard. But then after the first drive against USF, where Jaden Ball was ripping off 10 yards of carry,
right?
There wasn't much after that in the run blocking. USF was getting behind the line of scrimmage a lot. So to me, it's up front. It's up front, and that I won't necessarily say new look because Blake Baker's been there, but you got to play well the first couple games on defense. So maybe a retooled LSU defense against this. And against this right now, struggling more than expected Florida offensive line.
Is that the biggest surprise of the season for you so far?
I'll say yes. Lagway still may get that, but I'll say so yes because you're not dealing with the injury question or the time off question that you are with Lagway. I mean, these are 4 or 5 guys along the offensive line that are returning. You expect those guys to hit the ground running, and they're not.
Mm-hmm. So,
I'm still shocked Lagway is, not where we thought he might be at this point. But that's at least somewhat understandable. And there's an excuse there for all the time that he missed.
Right.
So it's probably still the offensive line for me, given that part of it.
All right. Lagway, let's just go ahead and get there. I was going to wait until the end to kind of extend it, but we're already there. I figured we'd get there pretty quickly. You look at him on paper, and he's a 75% completion percentage guy right now. And then you go and look at the QBR and you're like, why is it below 60? He's completing 75% of his passes. Dave, correct me if I'm wrong. It seems as if that they are scared to push the ball down the field with him. Am I right with that? It kind of seems like they're trying to limit him. They haven't let the governor off, so to speak.
Maybe in some ways, Blake, but I mean, at the time, like I see a deep drop back. I see a play action deep shot that is a staple of Napier's offense, and there's nobody up and down the field. Or against LIU, surprisingly, he didn't have time to throw. And I think to me, the play call looks like they're trying to go deep, but for whatever reason, he's not pulling the trigger, or he doesn't have time to pull the trigger, or he's not reading the defense right. I think there's been some comprehension errors that I think that he's missed with some of the practice time. That, there's development and there's all the mental reps you can take, but until you're in the limelight, you got to do it when the bullets are flying. And so I think all that stuff combined really is limited. He's got 2 passes over 30 yards right now. Mm-hmm. And that was a given for DJ Lagway. It was, that was his game. And there's only 2 passes over 30 yards so far, 1 in each game so far. So no, Blake, I still think I see it. I still think it's in the offense. It has been there, but for whatever reason, there's just it seems like it. They said the mantra kind of all week on offense is 11 doing their job at the same time. Well, most of the time it hasn't been 11 doing their job at the same time. So that has been hurting Lagway a bit. But there was one last week. The game is it's late game situation.
The fade to Brown.
The fade to Brown right between his hands. I mean, it was probably his best throw of the game. And, that would probably, it probably would have salted the game away. Florida goes on and wins the game. So that was a critical moment. That was late game. And they're trusting to, don't get me wrong, it's a high risk, going 30 yards down the field on a 3rd and 7 or 8, I think it was. But you trusted your quarterback to do it. He actually dropped it right in the bucket, and the true freshman couldn't come up. I mean, pretty much Vernell Brown's only mistake of his 2 games so far. But yeah, so it's been there. It's just been a struggle to actually get the ball completed.
The thing with Florida, I've said all week that scares me is that if they do figure it out, that's what worries me, right? Like, you see the pieces there. Dave, I know you talked about the offensive line. Okay, well, what if they do start gelling and get better? Right. And you talk about Brown, the true freshman. I mean, that kid's got elite speed. Then you have Eugene Wilson. You have the tight ends. What was it, 89? Forgive me for not knowing his name.
Hayden
Hansen. I mean, they've done some explosive plays with him, and it has some explosives with him. I don't want you to find it this week, but is it like – I'm not asking if are you holding out hope. That's not what I'm asking. But Dave, there's a part of me that looks in here and says, all right, you go to sleep, you could go night too.
Yeah, that's the same. I don't want to throw away what I thought about this team 2 weeks ago. To me, that'd be foolish.
Right.
But at the same time, but I guess the best way I put it, the potential, I still think the potential is there.
I'm with you.
What about the confidence of seeing that potential? That's where I go the other way with it. Do I think it's there? Yeah. Do I have the confidence that it shows up magically Saturday night? I don't know. I mean, the stat I'll throw at you, Blake, and your listeners probably love to hear this. Billy Napier, while his tenure at Florida, has yet to beat a team on the road that finishes the season with a winning record.
Oh, please, dear God.
Year one,
we're not going to have a winning record, or
we're
just going to win. Yeah,
or you'll be the first one that gets.
Don't hurt my feelings, Dave. Golly, I can only take so much.
Yeah, year one, Texas A&M. Failed Jimbo. That was the only road win. Year 2 was Ricky Pearsall catching a desperation late game against South Carolina, and then last year at Mississippi State and at FSU. None of those 4 wins. That's only 4 wins on the road, by the way. None of those teams finished with a winning record. So that's what he's got to overcome. I thought about that even before this loss last week. If Florida was going to reach the SEC championship, Florida was going to reach the college football playoff at LSU, at Miami, at Texas A&M, at Ole Miss, all four of those teams likely to finish the season with a winning record. So he was going to have to turn that fortune regardless of what happened against USF if Florida wanted to reach some kind of ultimate goal.
That is interesting. I did not know that. You know, then if you do that and you go and beat LSU in Baton Rouge, then it does make a statement. Like, all right, hey, okay, y'all tell me this is the scariest place to play at night. Well, we went in there after a disappointing loss and won. This is the second year that we beat them. So there's a lot on the table there. Let me flip this question on you because I feel like we're talking about their problems a lot. And I don't want to just sit here and say, hey, Dave, what's all your problems? But,
hey, that comes with the territory after you get beat by USF. So.
Oh, I feel. I mean, you go 8-4 in Baton Rouge too, and they start freaking out. Like, just okay, hold on. By the way, just heads up, you can go search this. Our biggest post game last year was the Florida loss. It's not close. People were pissed, and I'm like 40 minutes of time of possession. I'm like, guys. I mean, anyway.
But it's funny how that works, though, right? I mean, here's the thing:
it is.
Some of my highest number of episodes are after losses as well. You just don't want the losses to pile up. Then the numbers go down a little bit,
right?
But if it's if it's one loss here or there or whatever, it's funny. Misery loves company.
Misery loves company. But you beat Clemson, and then those numbers stay there.
Right, exactly.
Like there's 1,200 people in here, and I'm like, okay, well, those numbers gonna stay up when you have success. What does Florida got to do to come into Baton Rouge and win?
I think it is run the ball. And I probably would have said that with a good, healthy DJ Lagway anyway. But given his situation, his limitations so far, I think it is run the ball. And I know you guys have been much better there this year so far. I like dangerous word potential again. I like what Florida has with Jaden Ball and Jacoby Jackson as a 1-2 punch. Maybe some more help from the offensive line this week than he had last week, minus that first drive of the game. But I do think I don't know if Lagway's ready for the switch yet. So that's why can he play a good game? Yes. I don't know if he's at the point at any point in this game you put the game on his shoulders. Mm-hmm. So I do think Florida's got to run the ball. Florida's got to run the ball well. I think this 3.5 yard a carry, 4 yards a carry. Yeah, that's good in SEC play sometimes. If you got good quarterback play to go along with it, I don't know if Florida's going to have good quarterback play to go along with it. So Florida's probably have to average like 5 yards a carry, 5.5 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. That's the way I see Florida. And look, that bodes itself for if you want to upset a team on the road, take the crowd out of it, control the game, make it boring if you have to. I'm not even really talking about that aspect. Just came to my mind. I do think strategy-wise, I do think Florida has to run the ball to win this game.
I was listening to you and Will from the other day, and I wanted to bring this up to you. What have y'all seen from LSU, or what have you – not y'all, he ain't in here. What have you seen from LSU that you are like, hey, we got to – look, they've been struggling offensively or this, or they've been better on defense. You brought it up a couple times. When you've seen LSU from afar, what have you seen?
I see the chat talking about it. I think it is the coverage of the receivers. Like, I still think what I said about the passing game, I still think it holds true with Lagway. But I do think for both quarterbacks, which one's going to hit the more explosives? I don't know if there's going to be many of them, but if Nuss hits 2, is that enough? If Lagway hits 2, is that enough? It might be. It really might be. And Florida, to me, at receiver has had trouble getting separation. And they got fast guys. So I question what's going on there. Because the way they've recruited, the way they developed that spot, they have a lot of speed there. So it lends myself to maybe some predictable play calling, maybe the play calling in general not lending itself to getting these receivers open. They've been there, and Lagway's missed some, but there's not many just wide open options for DJ Lagway to hit. So can they find a way to get open? Have time to find them open. But I saw the chat talking about the matchup of wide receiver and DB, and it's just, like I said, it hasn't been much downfield for Florida. When they have gone it, there have been times when everybody's covered. So, and some of that might be defensive philosophy more so than DB wide receiver matchup.
Mm-hmm.
But it is for me with this LSU defense, who I think is better than what they have been. It is, can Florida's receivers get open?
What's so wild is like Browns had massive plays on these pop passes. You have the Wilson end around last week, and I'm like, God, that's a lot of speed. Like that, like, and then you have the Brown miss, which you brought up earlier, and I'm like, dog, y'all got it. Max protect and go a 3-man route and let them dudes get vertical. Like, I mean, at some point you just got to start testing it and see if it's going to work. You know, like I was screaming at the TV at the third quarter. I'm like, dude, you can't be doing end arounds and not just saying, you know what, look, instead of just going 3 and out in the second half, let's go vertical and see what happens. You know, and they did, and I think it was just maybe a little bit too late. All right, Dave, last question here. How did you see it all going down on Saturday? I don't know if you're going to pick. You don't have to if you don't want to, but how do you just see this one going down on Saturday?
Like I said earlier, I haven't put my score out there, Blake. I'll be doing that tomorrow. You'll join me, and then I'll put my score prediction out there. I will say I do have LSU winning. After what I saw last Saturday, I think Florida plays well. I think they play better, and I don't think they're as bad as what they showed last week. But I think it's too much to ask to everything they have to figure out. I think in their mind to go figure out on the road. So I haven't seen enough consistency in the offense to make me passing game or run game for me to think they can go on the road and get the win. So, you know, maybe you turn over nuts, you get some lucky turnovers. I can say about every game I got, you know, Florida may not win. You know, if you got to beg for turnovers, you shouldn't pick a win. So for me, it's too much inconsistency on offense. I think the defense plays well, and I think that's what keeps Florida in it. But too much LSU too late.
Yeah. Look, I do this to you every year, like every single year. But I have the same worry for Garrett in this offense. You know, like I have a lot of worries there. I think both defenses keep it. I bet the under. FanDuel came out with the under, and I bet the under. I'm like, you're giving me 49.5? No.
Yeah, but I don't know if you know or not. You might have picked it up on. You might have picked up on it the last episode with Will. Will has just been captain check down for Nussmeier. he's been that way about Nussmeier all off season. So
it's kind of come to fruition here. So Gator Dave, Gators Breakdown. Thank you so much, buddy, and we'll see you tomorrow, my man.
All right, Blake. Sounds good, man.
All right, that's David Waters over at Gators Breakdown. I got to get on Brandon. He's got Gators Dave here. Can't take the intern anywhere. It is Gator Dave _SEC on Twitter. Thank Dave so much for being with us. All right, let me get to a quick break. We'll wrap it up next. Stay with us. Guys, let me tell you about our good friends over at Grand Slam Heating and Air, where your comfort is their top priority. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they promise to provide customers with high-quality HVAC service at an affordable price while ensuring the homeowner peace of mind. From their office to your home, they guarantee the best hassle-free experience around. Efficiency and comfort is their game. Let them make your home Grand Slam today. At Grand Slam Heating and Air, they're offering their annual maintenance plan starting off at $18.75 a month and also doing those $99 tune-up promotions. They provide free estimates for system and ductwork replacement, as well as offering financing to get the job done with no money up front. From Baton Rouge to Hammond to Covington, they're all around. So what you need to do today, give them a call at 225-380-9065. That's 225-380-9065. Or go over to their website, getgrandslamair.com. That's getgrandslamair.com, where your comfort is their top priority.
We're back.
We will expand on this tomorrow. I'm not going to go through the things I don't want to see LSU do. But here's what I'll say. We'll do keys to victory tomorrow. There is one thing that I am concerned about. The thing that you can't do is kind of actually what Dave, and it's right here on this handy-dandy notepad. Guys, I am worried that you cannot turn the ball over this week. They are really good defensively. Look, you gave up 7 sacks to them a year ago. Okay? I am worried that the same could happen. Braelin Moore does make me feel a little bit better about that. But, man, they're a good team. They got a really, really good, really, really good front seven. All right, we'll see you tomorrow, man. Y'all have a blessed night. Peace.